Good evening, good morning, and welcome here to Kings of the Storm weekly number 9. I'm Solid Jake.
And I'm the Kubi.
And we've got our next tier tournament, the last qualifier before Kings 5.
Kings 5, yep,
Yeah.
that is correct. Hey, what happened to the afternoon? You covered the morning, evening.
Ugh.
These
Sorry.
poor afternoon people. That's us.
Yeah, I
Come
guess
on, man.
it is. I guess we don't matter. You know, East Coast, it doesn't matter. You know, that's how it is.
Speaking of East Coast, we are getting destroyed outside right now.
So much snow.
snow.
Oh, looking out there through the blind that's in my way of the window. Fakely
He's
through
looking
a
at
window.
nothing. He's actually staring at a wall
Yeah,
right now.
very good, very good. So lots of snow here, and hopefully everybody is having a wonderful day.
Yep.
But we've got a nice tournament ahead
Yes,
here.
even more wonderful. We get to get snowed in. We get to cast this tournament. How exciting.
As long as
So
we don't
much
lose
fun.
power, we're going to have a great
Yeah.
cast.
Crossing the fingers.
Yeah, definitely. So let's actually just take a look at our bracket here. This is, again, Kings Weekly number 9. And we can see the teams here. Now, Tuark looks like they had a player need to forfeit out.
Yes,
one player wasn't
unfortunately.
able to
Yeah.
show up. So Tuark they missed pretty much the check-in deadline. And they are going to be forfeiting their match versus ESV Tempest. So we'll see ESV Tempest move forward. And then the other round 1 match we have, which will be the first game we cast.
That's correct, and that will be Barrel Boys versus Quantum Cat. Quantum Cat being a team I don't believe we have casted or seen in these tournaments before. To my recollection, I apologize if I missed the tournament you guys were in, guys. Barrel Boys we have seen before, so we're going to be checking in on that map. I think in a little bit. We're waiting right now for the map strikes to go through.
Yep, they're pretty much determining what map they're going to be playing on here right now, and then as soon as that is ready, we're going to be moving on over into the lobby. But just looking at the other matches we have going on today, there's going to be Symbiote versus ESV Tempest, Maelstrom versus Wildfire, Vortex will play the winner of the first game that we cast here, and then Murloc Sync are playing against Evil Geniuses. We are, in fact, the one and only casting pair today, as there are some tech issues, or kitten issues.
The Quantum Cat slayed Jared's stream possibilities. Apparently his roommates have acquired a new cat, and it's quite loud from what we're told.
That's what we hear, but Zoya is actually going through a move tomorrow, so his whole situation will be much better at that point in time.
Yeah.
So that's good to hear, so we shouldn't have the issue again. But it looks like we're going to Dragonshire,
That is correct. That is correct.
and we're just getting the lobby set up here for you guys. This is going to be best of 3 series, and for the whole tournament except the finals, as always. It's single elimination, best of 3 for the whole event except the grand finals, which is going to be a best of 5 series. And again, single elim means you lose once, you're out. There's no losers bracket. There's no lower side of the bracket. So it's do or die when it comes to each match. We're getting the lobby built here, and we are going to be having, again...
Hey, we have a new guest this week.
Oh.
He was not with us last week. The Blue Man and the Big Robot. What's his name?
Tycho!
Tycho. Tell us a little bit about Tychus here.
That's a good point to make. Now, last week in Kings of the Storm, the first tournament here of this patch here, Tychus was banned out due to a bug where his overkill you'd be allowed to auto-attack if you were standing still while using overkill, essentially. And that bug has been fixed, so Tychus is back into play, and there's no global ban on him. There's actually no global bans anywhere. All maps are in play, so Sky Temple is on the board here. And, you know, we saw some cool stuff last week with Tyrande. We saw, like, a Tyrande Tassadar, Uther, Arthas,
We saw a lot of crazy stuff
Vala,
last week.
I think that was the comp. We saw some weird compositions, and it was cool. But we'll see how it differs with Tychus in play. Of course, Tychus is going to be picked and banned quite a bit.
Yeah. So, yeah, like you said, it does create quite a bit of changes and things because teams don't have to worry about banning him out and picking him up early, because if you don't grab him early, well, then the other team's going to do it. So something that the other teams obviously had to think about. Without him being in the pool, we did see some strange picks.
Yeah.
That, alongside all the other crazy changes that have happened to this patch, Warriors have gone through quite a bit of changes since having lost the Resurgence of the Storm. So keep an eye on that. The Warrior meta is, I will use the word scarce right now.
We've seen people try Tyrael, ETC, Muradin, but it's pretty much Arthas Stitches at the top of the line for Warriors. Yeah, it's definitely interesting. We'd all like to see more Sonya, more Anubarak, but as it stands, they're not really very common in the meta, as they just don't fit the role as well as some of the others can. But another thing happening today that's a bit different is CSD, typically the host here of the tournament, not here with us, and my lovely girlfriend Allison will be running the bracket, so shout-outs to her. You guys see her as always Brawlo in the chat, typically, and she's very active in the chat. So she's going to be running the event for us, and it looks like the lobby is just about ready to roll here.
Yes, it is good to go.
Well, on that note, we're going to get the lobby going in just a second here, guys, and the draft will be underway at that time.
So,
what do you think? Quantum Cat, new team.
Quantum Cats, yes. So as far as I know, it is their first
to
tournament, at least involved with COTS. So,
The lobby built here. Yes, that echo, so majestic. Correcting that
production value
right quick, and that is gone. Okay, so yes, draft's up.
Yes.
Quantum Cat, new team. And as I interrupted you,
I don't even know what
we know nothing about Quantum
That's
Cat.
right, yes, the first tournament. So bear with them. I'm sure they're getting used to the process. And they're banning out Tychus.
Yes, that is going to be the first ban here.
Pretty standard. Okay, and the Stitches too. Okay, so Stitches, I don't know if you guys have played hero mode, ranked mode right now, but Stitches is like almost always first, one of the first 2 picks on either side of the team. So he's very, very, very strong right now. A lot of people understand that. They realize that. Even, it used to be he was the pick on Cursed Hollow.
Right.
Now he's the pick on every map. He's very, very strong hero. Just, in terms of looking at the warrior meta, he did lose Resurgence, but he is like the only really good warrior that has an option at level 20 that's also good, which happens to be Bolt of the Storm. He has options like taking, gorging someone, blinking back. He can hook, gorge, blink. There's a lot of scary combos
which is
there.
terrifying. And
yeah, of course.
We've seen players like Atlanta opt to go for that instead of Resurgence, even when Resurgence was in the game. So shows how strong of an option that is.
Yeah. Okay, so we do see a first pick Tass. Tass is also seems to be picking up a little bit more steam. Of course, I say that, but Tass has always been. I don't think there's ever been a time where Tass hasn't been heavily involved in the meta. I'm talking first half of the
Yeah,
mix.
I mean, when they first changed him in this most recent patch, where they kind of changed the damage output of Sidestorm, and they just kind of removed a decent amount of the damage on it, he seemed like less priority, but he was still really common. But teams just kind of played with him a little bit more and realized the utility of just the middle of the road in terms of just both sustained and damage. And now that Healing Ward is fixed,
yeah, I was going to mention that too.
He's
sort of half a support too. If you go the full damage build, except at level 4 you grab Healing Ward, then he has the shield on his base kit, obviously.
Yeah.
He's kind of a really good assassin, not the best assassin in terms of damage output, but pretty good. And he also has half a kit of support because Healing Ward is so good now.
It's great.
Of course, they changed it back. It used to be any AoE in the previous patch. Any AoE would kill it. Before that, it was you had to auto attack it. Now it seems to be back to the auto attack route. So healers that have Healing Ward are now buffed up a little bit. Particularly, I think the one that affects the most probably would be Rhaegar, especially because he gets it at level 1 too. So that makes Rhaegar a little bit more viable. Potential to see him played a little bit more of this tournament, but we'll have to see.
So just looking at the draft right now, Vala Kerrigan as their first picks, and it's interesting to say the least to get Kerrigan that early. But they're really valuing just the amount of lockdown you get from that. And the counterplay is they go with Nazeebo Brightwing. Not necessarily the counterplay, but that they're trying to set up a Nazeebo comp here.
Yeah. Brightwing, of course, the traditional support to go with Nazeebo. I wouldn't say traditional. She's just a very solid support right now.
Yeah,
but
a lot of people
you can absolutely make use of Emerald Wind to push the enemy team out that's trying to get in, especially if it's a Stitches running up or a Muradin trying to leap over, etc. You may be able to set up some plays there just to block them from getting to that Ravenous Spirit. Which, basically, if Quantum Cat is able to set up a situation where they can hit 2 or 3 people with the full Ravenous Spirit, completely, going through the full duration of it, probably going to win that team fight. So it's going to be on Barrel Boys to figure out a solution to deal with that, whether they leave it at Kerrigan. They're probably going to pick up some other stuns. Wouldn't surprise me entirely to see... I mean, who is still on the board here in terms of... I think Muradin would be a decent pick
it would
here.
be good. I think we're definitely going to see Arthas picked up by Barrel Boys. I mean, they already have Kerrigan.
Yeah, Arthas is just strong regardless.
Right, but
so it makes sense there, too.
He's the best tank left in the roster.
It's going to be one of those two.
Yeah, and but who else do you think they should grab to go with that? Because Arthas doesn't necessarily help deal with Nazeebo, but maybe Arthas Falstad, we might see Mighty Gus picked up as well. Or would you prefer Thrall? Because
you could
Sundering.
do Thrall Sundering. You could do just Uther. Uther is sort of a solution too.
That's true.
Especially now he doesn't have Resurgence, so we see that teams are more often than not going towards that increased range on the Divine Storm at level 20. That can be a solution. He has Sprint. He can get there. It may cost him his life, but if you're saving a couple teammates on the other side, then maybe it's worth it. And he has that Ghost form as well.
Well, they just completely go the other direction, and they pick up ETC as their tank and hammer. Now,
I love it.
I don't know that we'll see Stage Dive, but Stage Dive can be used against Ravenous, but it's a bit weird because of how powerful Mosh is. Mosh Pit, of course, being the dance when ETC locks down a bunch of people, but can be easily countered by things like Polymorph. Because you just poly the Mosh Pit, and then it's nullified. Now, ETC is not a hero we see a lot in competitive play, but as we discussed earlier, the tank meta is kind of all over the place right now.
It is. It's really. We did actually. Was it Grand Finals last week?
Where we saw
ETC, or was it
SMG played ETC? I believe it was winners or grand finals. I'm not sure which.
Yeah, they did, and they made it work.
They made it work. They did.
They did win that game. So, all right, and then we can talk about Hammer a little bit. This is Dragonshire, undoubtedly her best map.
Yes.
There's a lot of places, especially when you consider that you need to keep control of those shrines that are at the top and bottom of the map. She is incredibly good at that. There's a lot of places for her to hide mines and bushes that are right outside those shrines. She can siege up, still hit the creeps in lane, get experience from them, and then you know that you can't walk through that area to get to her because there could be 6 to 9 mines sitting in there, which do a ton of damage. Like any assassin, you're going to lose half your HP just trying to walk next to her. So oftentimes we're going to see teams grab Hammer.
This is, all right, I just got to say, Arthas wasn't picked up at all in this draft, and that is very odd.
Yeah, I'm not sure why Quantum Cat didn't opt to go for.
I'm excited.
Arthas.
I don't know why, but I like it.
I mean, it's possible they don't feel comfortable on it. We don't know much about the players' hero pools, etc. So, Muradin though, why did they grab Muradin? Is there something?
I mean, Muradin works really well with Nazebo.
It's also another way to deal with ETC.
It's also yeah, exactly. So I like the Muradin pick, especially with Nazebo Brightwing. I think those three really pair well together. They also have Falstad for the disengage with Mighty Gust. It's a weird idea to think that they might do that, but it's an option. If Nazebo's getting pressured, you just blow them away or blow them towards. There's some weird stuff you can do. I think Hinterland's Blast will be the pick we end up seeing here. It just makes more sense ultimately, but it's still an option that they have.
Right.
And it looks like the players are ready to roll, and I know we are.
Yeah,
so
we are good to go. Yeah, that's on them to start that game. But yeah, they also did end up picking up Uther as that last pick for their support. So obviously we knew it was going to be a support, but I think Uther does probably make the most sense.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a possibility they could go Malfurion, Twilight. That's, you know, you have to get. There's no real way for Malfurion to get in there, so it's even riskier than Uther trying to do it. But it's a possibility. What else? Yeah, Uther, just, you know, the extra stuns. I think it makes a lot of sense. So we're going to Dragonshire. Fun map. This is one of the 2 maps I would say you guys are most likely to see for the first map in a set of a series here. It's one of the more, like, I'm going to use air quotes here, neutral maps, if you will. This and Cursed Hollow. Just because of, I don't know if you want to say that there's less shenanigans on it in terms of how teams want to develop their strategies, etc. But
yeah, I'm still just thinking so hard about the lack of Arthas when you have Kerrigan on your team. Like, why would you opt for ETC over Arthas? I just can't stop thinking about it, honestly.
They're just trying to. They want to deal with that Nazebo. I think they have that priority in their head. It is another option. They have a fair number of ways to deal with Nazebo. None of them are like the best strategy to deal with Nazebo, but they have ways to deal with it. So, that said, let's get into introducing these teams. So, on the blue side, for Barrel Boys, we have Blinks on Uther. McIntyre is going to be playing Kerrigan this game. Trummel on Sergeant Hammer. Fan's going to be on Vala. And to round it out, we have Curse Fury on ETC.
On the other side of the map here, for our new contender here, Quantum Cat, we have Epida playing as Tassadar. Brightwing will be played by Tiddlywink, which is a wonderful name. I'm actually going to stumble over all these names. O'Kills here playing Nazebo.
Yeah.
And we have Muradin played by the dude. And while we're introducing, actually Tassadar was picked up, was blown up really quickly. So it's a 1-0 lead already here for Barrel Boys. The gank did happen mid, and that's a very early kill, Kubi.
Yeah, that was stepped out too far. Just wanted to see what the scenery looked like, and the locals, they grabbed him.
So just looking at the ETC Kerrigan kind of comp, Kerrigan has that pull-in knockback where then ETC can dive in to stun you just like this and then push you away from your wall, and that's obviously what we're going to see. That's their plan here, and that is actually just terrifying.
Yeah, that is. That really is scary. Now, you have to consider that when they're doing these shenanigans, they have to pay close attention to how they're soaking the lane. So you can see right now, presently, they don't have anyone soaking mid lane. So if they're actually pulling 3 people to make these rotations, they're giving up some experience somewhere if they're not pulling the rotations at the right time. So if Quantum Cat is paying attention, they can say, oh, they just shoved out their lane. We can expect them to rotate for a gank. Let's back up a little bit to play a little bit safe. But if that's the case, we'll have to see. But that's what they should be looking for.
But with this, aggression available here from Hammer as well, it's going to be quite scary. Yeah. We see McIntyre coming up to the top lane. The zombie wall does go down. Going to be good, but Tiddlywinks taking a lot of damage, and one more hit, no, not going to be there.
Too risky. Yeah.
Level 4, they would have Envenom that would have secured the kill,
Absolutely.
but not quite there yet.
Okay, so this gives us a little bit of time to talk about some of the talents that were picked up here at level 1. Some of the ones that are jumping out at me, Tassadar has opted to go with Overload. Trummel's in a bit of trouble here.
And he's actually going to be just fine. Yep, he's got the boost available.
That is going to give the bottom shrine to Quantum Cat, and the top shrine will be going to Barrel Boys. Now, this is the type of thing that you will see is pretty common on this map. One team will put some extra effort into taking either the bottom or the top, and they will sort of trade shines for a while. And it's a little weird to see a Dragonite before like 4 or 5 minute mark. I think last week we actually did see some really fast ones. We were like 140 or something or so, and we get hype about that because it's so rare to see a team that maybe like doesn't have such emphasis on one of the lanes to keep those shrines. So
it's definitely uncommon to see that, but level 4 has been
achieved.
Well,
I was yammering about all that. We already hit level 4 for both teams. So yeah, I was talking about Tassadar. That's right, Overload. He grabbed the range, and like about a month ago I would have said this is pretty normal, but lately it seems like everyone's been grabbing the mana regen. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, I mean, the mana regen gives extra sustainability, and we're going to see Paul get very low taps as well, but it's not quite enough. The Envenom does, in fact, kill him in the end there.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I mean, the mana regen, I mean, it's kind of like that hybrid build from Tassadar we were talking about, where you have the sustain from Healing Ward, you keep your mana up, allowing you to be a pseudo-support, and you pair that with Brightwing, and it's like you have so much healing over time, it's actually like just a lot of sustainability on the map. So I like the style. I think the range is like not super crucial. I mean, it's just extra range, so
33% extra range.
It is a good amount, but even still, I mean, how often is that going to make or break the situation, whereas mana is going to be getting effectiveness the entire game?
That's true. Very good point.
Ooh, the Poly goes out just as he tries to use Primal Grasp, stopping that Primal Grasp and potentially the kill that would be available there for Nazebo, and Brightwing just phase shifts just a short distance to get out of that bad spot.
And you just mentioned Brightwing, and the build here is a little bit strange, especially at level 1. They got the Shield Dust, which increases the block on number of basic attacks to 3. More often than not, we're seeing teams grab Bribe. In this case, they could have gone double Bribe here, which may have given them some extra pressure. And Oils looks like it sticks out a little bit too far. It gets picked up by the Vala-Kerrigan combo.
Very aggressive.
4 kills to nothing this early in the game. Barrel Boys is feeling that they can get away with a lot of rotations. They can get away with a lot of aggressive play, and it's working out for them. They have almost a level lead going into this. Trummel's in a bit of trouble.
Oh, man.
Trouble.
First aid was almost enough there, but that last hit coming out of false head was able to get the kill. So finally a kill on the board here for Quantum Cat.
Yep.
And yeah, like you said, it's definitely a unique Brightwing build. Gust of Healing, so it's actually full sustain. Protective Shield for that burst sustainability, and then Gust of Healing. And of course, the Shield Dust giving 3 blocks to auto attacks. When you consider that you're going up against a Kerrigan, a Hammer, and a Vala, there's so many auto attacks going down on you that those 3 blocks could make a huge difference. And I like the call there. It's a good, just spot of the moment. This is the team we're fighting kind of call. Tiddlywink is getting very low though. He's gonna get blown up here, and the dude John's gonna be able to back on up. The dude Jordan.
Let's go Jordan. That dude Jordan.
Yeah.
They actually did a really nice job of, I'll give Barrel Boys some credit there. They rotated their stuns out perfectly, timed between the stun pull from Kerrigan and then the Hammer of Justice that came down from Uther there. Everything was spaced out perfectly so that Kerrigan would be able to get another auto attack in. Nicely done from them. That was exactly what gave him that kill. So
level 10 approaching here. There it is. We're going to see the talents to the left. Divine Storm looks like Napalm Strike.
Yep. Strafe. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Is that what I think it is? That's an Ultralisk.
That is an Ultralisk. Okay, so we've been sort of prophesizing the return of the Ultralisk. Well, I should say the coming of the Ultralisk because we never had Ultralisk. So they being Blizzard in the last patch for this beta, they have updated Ultralisk so that it is now targetable.
Oh, Tiddlywinks
is somewhat microable. Yep, we're gonna. Tiddlywinks has been sort of out of position a little bit some of these fights, especially down here at the bottom shrine. But yeah, Ultralisk is now targetable. So it used to just sort of run away to other lanes whenever you pulled it out in the middle of a team fight. Now you can choose to say, hey, hit this guy. And it's sort of that presence in fight that you want it to be when you're Maelstrom, but it is much riskier.
Right. So it's more like the laser drill in its functionality. Right. You can't micro it entirely, but you can choose its target. So it's really good. But we also see Stage Dive being picked up by ETC. We can see on the other side we do have Revenant Spirit, Archon, Hinterland Blast,
right.
Blink Heal.
Yeah, blink kill. Yeah, that makes sense. I think I can agree with that.
But Haymaker, how do you feel about that?
Haymaker. I did not see that. Yeah. Okay. That's just going to be more control to trying to deal with people that are running up to the Zemo. The problem with that is that Avatar almost does just as good of a job doing that because of the micro stun you get on every basic attack you throw down. So let's see how they deal with Ravenous here.
Okay,
yeah,
so
exactly
the Ravenous went down. ETC just walks up and knocks him back there with his ability. Now, they're just getting a good amount of aggression on with this first Dragonite. It's pretty late for this first Dragonite. I mean, we're talking 6, almost 7 minutes into the game at this point in time. A big strafe going down, followed by that Divine Storm, and 3 members going to fall from that. All 5 members are down, actually. And that's going to be a 4, and some of the towers here. They're not going to get a keep out of this. It's very unlikely. The death timers are very short. It's unlikely, but they're definitely going to keep
they are up a tier talent here, too. So, okay, that was really nicely done for McIntyre there. I think he pulled 4 people in with his combo, and then strafe went off. And then it was just like, everything like followed up. It was just like a really, really nice sort of like quote-unquote wombo there. And they just blew up the entire enemy team like one fell swoop there. So
one thing I want to mention, again, the Kerrigan going in with the pole. They're just blowing people up. Haymaker is used, but it's just going to put the dude Jordan in a really bad spot anyways. He gets annihilated there. Brightwing, getting those blocks off, but is it going to matter? This keep is going to fall.
Yeah, they're not respecting the Kerrigan. They're not positioning themselves in such a way that they can do it. And you can see she's just getting off tons of pulls, and the rest of the team is providing plenty of CC and peel for her anytime she jumps in too far. But she's just been pulling 3 people, 4 people. They got to split their team up a little bit more just so that they're not in situations where they are getting, like, just losing the team fight just because of Kerrigan. Like, she opens the fight up for everybody else, and they're just like, oh, well, these nicely positioned things. You have Napalm Strike that's hitting 4 people at once. You have, it gets messy real fast. And you guys can see that. We have 15-1 kills here, level 15 to 11. 4-level lead at this point in the game.
Is massive.
It is huge.
Massive. 8 minutes in, that's actually kind of insane. Barrel Boys are playing like they, at their prime right now.
Yeah,
and
they look good.
They're just rotating around and picking up the Merc camps. Now, we do see that Quantum Cat is trying to pick up some presence on the map here. They're grabbing their Knights. That's a safe option to do right now. They're not pushing out into the middle of the map. They're staying on their side of the map because they know that there could be a party bush or anything. But as they see the Knights be picked up, they're assuming that all the Mercs are going to be picked up here. And with the Dragon Shine popping up, there's still time for them to pick up these Knights in the bottom lane as well. Yeah,
I think what we're going to see here is Barrel Boys will likely send at least one person to cap. I figured they were going to grab the Knights on the bottom lane too, but Curse Fury, a little.
In theory, he might have to stage dive. He did get hit back with that, and he does have stage dive if he needs to use it, and he's going to be doing just that, just launching a little bit over here. So that's 1 heroic use for 1 heroic, a even trade, if you will.
ETC Master Hurdler. Do you see how he jumped over that wall? Way higher than he needed to go.
I didn't even know cows were hurlers. I guess I learned something new today. But we can see the aggression here in the bottom. Tiddlywink is getting a lot of pressure put on him in the middle. He's got to be careful. But with Hammer just kind of sieging up Trumbull, getting some damage done on that for it.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool move there because they siege up, and he doesn't have any intention to stay siege. It's really just, hey, we're giving you vision that our Sergeant Hammer, as I mentioned that, Lux is just in a situation to get blown up mid lane there. But yeah, once the Sergeant Hammer sieges up, it's like, hey, you have to spend some attention down here. Otherwise, we're going to get some free push. So he knows that he can't stay sieged up for very long. It's just sort of like forcing the other team to pull down.
And it's really rough for them right now. Now, we see the Falsa did fly down bottom. They were able to see that happening. It's going to try to solve the Dragonite out, but he is not going to be there in time as Trumbull picks up the Dragonite. That's the hammer in the Dragonite, and it looks like they want to just go straight for the core and end this. 16 kills to 1 still. Oh, no, he missed the Primal Grasp combo there on Kol'jin.
I don't think they can end this right here.
They're going to try, and we're going to find out what happens.
Of course, it's going to depend a lot on what, how the Kerrigan needs to fight. If he gets another 4-person pull into stun with Divine Storm, yeah, the game's going to be over. But I don't see why Quantum Cat shouldn't be able to defend this here, especially with the core backing them up. The Dragonite doesn't have that much health. Looks like Curse Fury is going in.
And yeah, we see Curse Fury going into the backline like that, just trying to bully them out. 1 punch is there from the Dragonite. Dragonite is already at half health, though. Ravenous Spirit has been used, but it's interrupted nearly instantly, and Azebo just gets eliminated so quickly. Strafe got a decent amount of damage off, but it does get interrupted as well. Stage dive going in, followed by the Divine Storm here, the knockback. We see Avatar has to back up, but the core gonna fall.
They did. They got it. Okay. I mean, they were able to just sort of zone the rest of the team out enough And you can see that the Dragon Knight's health was pretty low there at the end.
Yeah.
That was my guess, because a 10-minute Dragon Knight doesn't have that much health. So they were actually doing a really nice job peeling for that Dragon Knight just to make sure that he was able to get a bunch of hits in on that core there. You know, had that fight gone on for another 5 seconds or so, they would have had to back up. So timing-wise, it worked out pretty well for them.
Yeah, they
Nicely done.
They made sure they focused their damage on the core when they could, and then they used the heroics on the enemy team to force them back. Level advantage was a big part of that story there. Having 3 levels up, I mean, you're significantly stronger. I mean, when you're 3 to 4 levels up, you can 2v4 in a lot of scenarios because the power difference is quite intense. But
especially with that talent too. You got an extra talent tier there.
Yes, exactly. So weird comps, weird choices, but they really worked out. ETC Kerrigan.
Yep.
News to me. That's something cool.
Yeah, I mean, you get that pull, you get the dash through, the knockback, everything. Yeah, it sort of works out almost positionally better than Arthas, but doesn't have quite the amount of stun time, the root time.
Right. So
it's something that can work. It's kind of cool. I hadn't really thought about it before because, well, ETC doesn't see too much play.
But that's the cool thing with the current state of the tank meta. Teams are experimenting more with tanks, and you know, I'm sold on ETC for that kind of.
Yeah,
that kind of style
it worked out. I mean, they only had to really deal with the Ravenous Spirit once, but the one time it was out, they dealt with it within a couple seconds.
Yeah.
You know, ETC was able to dash through and use loudspeakers to get out. So, nicely done.
Haymaker, what are your thoughts on that?
I love Haymaker. I'm gonna be honest. I really do like the heroic. I just don't think it was the right call there. It works. It can work to keep one person away from the Nazebo, and if you catch yourself in the right position to throw ETC back, sure. But there are a lot of ways to get around that. You know, as you're winding up, if you happen to dash through them and then knock Muradin away, well then how are you going to keep your Nazebo safe? But Avatar can work to really slow people down. Every auto attack that you have while you're in Avatar is going to do a mini stun, so that really slows people down. I think I would have preferred to see that, but yeah.
All right, guys, well, we're going to get the lobby set up here, find out what our next map is, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes. Stay with us.